Nice test. והנה, so we just explained without repeating the explanation, just referring it, re- referencing it. The chiluk shebein gimel hamshachas, now the difference between the three revelations, arich, which is tzaddik goizer, the tzaddik decrees. Atik, it happens organically, or pnim is atik, but truly, mitzad ishtalshalos, in a way that's not in a way of pu'ula at all, but it becomes their reality. So in the mashal that we use, it's not simply applauding and appreciating shlichus, but you live a life of shlichus in the mashal that we used. In Ilgam Bina Birurim, it's also the way we affect the world. So the birur, which is imposed by God's will, is b'derech malamayda lamata. So what's the net result? How have we affected the world? The birur of the tachten, the tachten himself, he is not changed. Actually, it's the opposite. Because there's a revelation of light that is beyond him. So he is in his battle. Using the marshal of yesterday and the day before, we could say that a marshal for that would be, so the Lubavitch is arguing with the Fruma Yid, and he's bringing him Marias with that Afapish, his soul, oh, it's written like this and it's written like that. And he sold Arevim Zubazun, every Jew will respond to him, we're brothers. So, okay, he doesn't argue. He doesn't argue, he brought stronger proofs. He's entirely not convinced, and he's certainly not part of it, and he's certainly not celebrating it. Okay? Is that clear? The three Mishalim in, it's really the point, because we're talking about the bird of the world. It's not some emotional from, the Rebbe himself used not this moshel, but this is an illustration. L'hoitzi yakar b'zoyla. Call him Malamed, all the teachers, Ben Ha'aretz Torah. So that's l'hoitzi yakar b'zoyla. That's exactly, that is what evokes the Pnimius HaTayim L'maylas from giving is not a moshel of something else. This is the Inyan. It's one expression of the Inyan. The Pnimius HaTayim is dafke in being Mekarev every year and elevating the world and turning the Chayshach into light. So there are four matzovim. There's Yistav Shalus, and there's the Tzaddik, and there's the Chassid, the Yasha, and the Chassid. Yistav Shalus says you're a sinner, you're out. You made your choice. Nobody put a gun to your head. So that's it. So your kids fly out and you assimilate. And they decided not to keep Shabbos. You came into America. It was a big nisayon. You couldn't withstand it, and that's the result. Canada, Australia, wherever it was. Let's use one example of it. That's ishtalshalus. Then comes the tzaddik and he's goyzer. No, afa pikeh. But as ishtalshalus agreeing with this, is the from a world agreeing with this? You have a better argument, okay? You quoted some quotes. We have a kasha on those quotes, whatever, but it doesn't change anything. So good. Then is the level of tainug where that's already when right now, where the fall from world is appreciating this, that adrabah, that's the kavanah, chassidus illuminated. And then the final is not just appreciation, but engaging in it. That a whole privilege and a whole metzias and a whole shlichus is the union of dira b'tachtonim, which is another yid. And that's what we're holding now in history. That's what shlichus is, and that's what the world is already to some degree becoming. Talking about the from world. Mivtza Tefillin at Yisrael has never been bigger, and it's been done not by Chabad. And many examples rapidly that are happening with each passing and unfolding day as we hurtle painfully, but fertile towards redemption. Okay, the marshal is, again, not a marshal, it's illustration. Illustration would just demonstrate the demonstration of the three dargis. Ishtalshalus, Arich, Atik, Pnimius Atik. Clear? Bezdin Shomayla, then the Tzaddik, then the Yosha, then the Chosid. All fighting with the Seder Ishtalshalus. So the first level is this battle. That's Arich, that's Rotzen again. The marshal would be an argument that quote that he cannot refute, but he's unchanged completely. After the birur, this is the Tachan is not menagid, ulefishin is batam mitziyus adegiloy. An example of that is also said in the chinuch, that the chinuch has to be this way, that the child is untamed still, a wild colt, but is in an environment where this battle. It's a good environment. It's a environment that rewards. So there's all these conditions, external conditions that elicit good behavior, but he hasn't changed. He hasn't matured and changed. He's not meant to. He's a kid. That's how it starts. Not that there's a change within him. Then there's a higher bidder. So I'm giving you now another motion of a person maturing and growing from childhood. Now he's developing a geschmack, actually, in Yiddishkeit, and he's enjoying it. Not for the reward. That's arich, because of external conditions. Now it's coming from within, or to avoid punishment. And since that atik, tainug, that's the pnimius and chayis of all of ishtalshalos. What's the parallel in a person? The pleasure to be alive is why you're doing everything you do. Tainug is the delight to be alive. That's in general. That's going to two dargis in tainug. When that's revealed, there's a real change. The resistance isn't overrun. The resistance isn't overridden, not overwhelmed, but there's a real change. Again, the child growing up, starting to develop an appreciation himself of Judaism. Like says, explains the Abir, that's like Shlomo Melech. That's how Shlomo affected the world. His was, he revealed the Tainug in the Likus. That's what we say, right? He revealed Atik, but it wasn't B'Shleimus. Because there's still Tainug in other things. Tainug in Yiddishkeit too. Tainug in the Likus, but doesn't exclude other things. I enjoy that too. So more detail in this one. I said, in Marshal about child, also, Gishmak in Yiddishkeit, and starting to enjoy the learning, etc. But he has a Gishmak in other things. So because Shlomo Melech revealed such a gilo, it's attractive. It's attractive. This is beautiful. This is delightful. So it attracted the sparks. And it took this like the large torch that attracts the sparks that are near it. I'm told that someone tried this experiment and it works. I never did it. But apparently that's how it goes. So Shalom Bed Cohen tells me, I forgot who was it made the experiment. Someone did it. I don't know exactly what the experiment, how it worked, what they did, but sorry. Since the beer is touched at the spark Shabbat Tachten. They're not being dragged, they're drawing. We want to see this. Check this out. This is amazing. They seem to be having such a good time. I also want to have a good time. That's what it is. But it's really more than that. That Rebbe said before, I'm sorry. Well, the Likus drew them, something higher. It's not, they know it's hard. We're having a good time, but they're having a much better time. They're having a better time. There's something deeper. There's an aura, there's a mystery there, there's something much deeper going on over there. We've got to check it out. They look really happy. So they're drawn. So this is not of being overwhelmed, a convincing argument, but here the tachten is drawn to this. This is something extraordinary, and we want to be part of it. Atik alone means removed, he said before. Removed from what? Ishtalshalis. Ishtalshalis is also something. So there are other types, there are other delights in the world. Now, strong words here. Say the Ishtalshalos, Geder HaTachten. Who? Shu Tachten. A Tachten means he's below, he's not there. And what does that mean? Hebech the Elyon, the opposite of the Elyon. So, say the Ishtalshalos, this means that Shlomo Melech's matzav is, yes, that Gishmak is deeper and truer, and Al-Havaya, we're drawn to it, we want to be part of it, but we're not giving up our little taivas. We acknowledge that they're insignificant compared to that, but they're important to me. In theory, but still, I'm hanging on. Hang on to my Elam Hazeh. Started recording me. As I said that spontaneously, assuming like, yeah, we're gonna hold this up against you, this testimony you just said where you're holding. The alien shenimshach by, so therefore the gilu alien is drawn in the makabel, in the tachten. Since the gilu is atik and not pnimis atik, and atik allows for still something else, therefore the bid is not complete. The bid is something additional. I've got my world, and this is something that I'm also engaged in, and it's beautiful, and I spend a lot of time there. But my tithe is my tithe. But this is a whole different, this is a radical change in the tachten. What's Pnimisatik is identified in the Gimel of Keser. That this is, Pnimisatik is invested only when Ein Sof Shabbat Adlo, and not compromised there. This we're talking Etzem. If we're touching God Himself, be'emes, then there's nothing outside. Then everything is Him. Everything's expression. According to the Rambam, it's not only that there's nothing outside of Him. No, it's what's outside of Him is Him. His true being, that's the truth of the being of all that exists. So Pnimisatik is revealed, that's a whole different Inyan. Nirgish b'chol davar, it's felt in everything. Gufa, that is all Metzis is Elikus. So his little taiva becomes the Eibish's taiva. He has no other. He has no other. There's nothing else. His whole gishmak is in the likus, in the Nisav HaKadosh Baruch. That's the chosid. Because total bittul, is a chosid, is chassidim koinoi. Who's the chosid? That what's his whole avoid is koinoi. The Eibish has a tainug in Dira B'tachtoinim, then that's all he knows. That's his tainug. Yud. This is all, all these levels can apply relatively to all levels. It could be ostensibly a shliach and shlichus is still holding by the level of arich, he's forcing himself. It's a constant battle with himself, but I'm a shliach, I gotta do it. And then there's the deeper level, and then there's the ultimate level. It's 24/7, that's his mitzias. It's the ultimate. That's only going to be when Mashiach comes, b'shleimus. But that's what we're aiming at. That's the truth. Zeh, shebei Shloim is bar rak nitzutz said that's what by Shloim Melech. What was the world was elevated? Only those sparks shebehem shehoye behem eizeh inyan shaloir. There's already some light. They're looking for something. They're looking for something. Someone totally immersed in Taivas Elam Haza, submerged up to his nose and beyond, is not responding. But someone who this doesn't cut it. It's fun, but there's more. So they're looking for meaning, purpose. That was then. But if you're not looking, you weren't affected. There's no spark that's left behind. Because the revelation of the sparks, the touching, the moving, the refinement, the elevation of that happens through Chesenis Atik, which is Shloimo, Shagili, Shoibe, Meshloim, Vayagili, Chesenis Atik. So then it was only the external level of Tainuk. It's still, on the end of the day, the remainder they were, they're drawn to it, but they're drawn. So what sparks are drawn? Only those sparks that are responsive to meaning, to purpose, to light. So even the Nitzutze Kedusha themselves are not fully refined, they're responsive. But Pnimis Atik is revealed. What's revealed is in everything. There's no place devoid of him. In everything there's revealed, you are nothing other than the expression of godliness. You're not God. You're a creation. But your Metzias is a likus, meaning your whole existence exists only because God wants you to. So that's your reality. And since Pnimis Atik is revealed, which is Atzmos, in the face of which Ein Oid Mulvadoi, then even the sparks that were dark, again, the Chatich Atzmai, Nas and the Veil, example in the laws of Kashrus, when the kosher piece itself becomes considered the nevela, even that is alo, is elevated, becomes incorporated by Kedusha. And so that is talking about the nitzutz, and that goes even further, the divine spark that's creating, that's in that thing, that place, that person. But moreover, you say to Mizu, this is the chiddush of the Maimer. It is kistev now, shegam advorim agashmim atzma. The physical matter itself, this is not said explicitly, but like this elsewhere. Not just the divine sparks in them. The gashmis itself, are in absolute unity with godliness. Again, it's not godly, it's in unity with godliness. As we explained, that was said of the Maimah, we said, the Rebbe says on Yitis Kislev, where the Nifal itself, the effect, the consequence, the Gashmias, expresses godliness. And explained earlier that the Avodah of the Chassid must precede that and precipitate that. And that is where his Keiches itself, that's the definition of the Barashab, that the Keiches Elikir, Keiches Navshim, Nasim Keiches Elikim. He looks at his own faculties. He's got a head and shoulders and feet and Seichel and Midas and 613 components. And how does he view it all? This is a likus because it's all a mirror and reflection of the Midas and Sviris Lamaila. His Gashmis. Again, this is only B'Shleimus when Mashiach comes, but Chassidus, he goes on to say, which is Gila Yechida, begins that revelation, that appreciation, that sense, that hergish even now. And where does it manifest? In the phenomenon of Shlichus. Did young couples go for 24/7, Gamarno, with the biggest tainug, to the ends of the world? I don't know if you saw this latest video. I don't know if this is the same higher. Did you see this going around now? I only saw it late last night. I wanted to send it in my email this morning. People should watch it. The girl's name is Chaya. She's 14 years old. She's being interviewed. And the mother is while the shooting, the firing is still going on, and the mother's crying out, "Save my children!" And she was in a safe space under a bench, and she crawled out and got up, and people screaming, "Get down, get down!" You saw the interview with this kid. I'm not going to speak for her. You listen to her words.
I didn't really watch any of the stuff.
What?
I didn't really watch any of the videos from the events.
I'm saying, I'm not going to say her words. You'll see her words. But she gets up there and she does it, and knowing full well that she might well die doing so. She's completely conscious of this and what she says about it. This is under fire, this is the Yechida here emerges. We have to live this way when, not die this way, but live this way. I mean, she survived. We have to live like this. Continuing, so I'm gonna post it on the Fabrengen chat. If I didn't already, I'll send it. All right, let's continue the next paragraph. Yes, Yidden. So Oyem v'noirach, I can't understand what that Mosai becomes now the whole world. They still want more. What could be more? Sacrifice, Mesiras Nefesh, Simcha, and Simcha b'Shas Maisa. Nobody scaled back the Chanukah pullers. They went stronger everywhere. Oh, Chanukah, this is what we're talking about. It's going to be any moment, Yidden, is the Geula. Any moment. Now the distinction is another subtle appreciation now. The Biran Amim, Holiday Shabbat Elov. Shlomo Melech said, what did the effect that they came to him? The nations came to him. Shlomo was around in the world, but before they came, they weren't elevated. They heard, they're searching, they came, and they were elevated to the degree that they were, as we said earlier. But they had to come to him. Even though the light that Shlomo Melech revealed was so powerful that they heard about it and they were drawn to it and they came to him. Still, nonetheless, when were they actually affected? Not in their place. They had to come. They had to come to him. Understood even after the Queen of Sheba heard about Shlomo's fame, what had to be, the Pasuk says, Vatava Yerushalmi, she had to come to Jerusalem. Then she was elevated. Why? Why they had to come? Because the Bira it's not that the change started to happen within themselves. At the end of the day, it's still extraneous, external. The revelation, which they embraced it, not forced, embraced. But still, it's a revelation. So these guys go on today, the Haredim go on shlichus, and they go on business to China, and they see what's happening in Chabad. This is beautiful. So they're embracing it. It didn't change them yet. To some degree, yes, she was changed when she was there. But it doesn't define their lives now, this. It'd be Makar of a Yid. So the bid was only when they were there to witness and experience it. But they were drawn to come. It's more than the guy going on business. He wasn't drawn to come. He ends up there because he needs a kosher meal. He wants chant on Shabbos. Good. Chabad provides. And a minion. This is more. She's drawn. She's making that effort. So we're in that transitional period now too. Even more than that, people are doing it. So it's all happening. But whereas Lasid Lavai, we're on the cusp of it now, Kivin Shabidu, he's going to say that's what Chassidus is now. Shabidu Oz Ayadeshi is Gal Amitis Hametzi Shaladvaram Amizbarim Atzmom. When Mashiach comes, the truth that Hashem is the only reality, and that's the Metzius of everything. They don't have to come to you. Then the Pasuk says, I will transform the nations. As they are nations of the world and in their place. Love the Shechemechar, as the Pasuk concludes, to serve God in one consent. And that's the ultimate. And that, he goes to say in Rishad Aleph, and that's Gili Chassidus, that's Yechida, that's what Chassidus is doing, that's what Chassidus is, revelation of Yechida, of the Etzim, of Pnimius Atik, which will continue based on Hashem on Monday.